To reward a group of factory workers, Mao Zedong gave them something they had never seen before: mangoes. They started worshipping the fruit, and soon anyone who did not show proper respect to the mango faced the death penalty. Now imagine the following. On a gloomy evening of August 5th, 1968, a group of Chinese workers sat together in a university hall. They were sad and tired, and these were not students but workers who were used to the loud noises of factories, not the silent libraries of Tsinghua University in Beijing. Now, these brave workers had been attacked by university students hiding on the university campus for a whole week. They had left their normal lives behind because Chairman Mao, the respected leader, had given them a special job. They held a book, The Little Red, which was filled with Chairman Mao's thoughts and ideas, and they were supposed to stop the fights that had been happening among the students. As days went by, the mission didn't seem to be working. 5 workers had lost their lives and many were hurt. Just when they felt like giving up, the door opened. Wang Dongjing, Chairman Mao's bodyguard, walked in. He had a box with him, which he placed on the table. "This is a gift from Chairman Mao," he said, and left the room. Everyone looked at the box in surprise. A few of them walked up to the box and touched the gift inside. Suddenly, the room was filled with joy. Tears filled their eyes as they began singing a song of praise, and they were happy because Chairman Mao had sent them a special gift, and they would never forget his kindness. As they looked at the gift, they saw it was a box filled with over 40 mangoes, a simple but powerful sign of Chairman Mao's love for them. The fruit that the chairman had sent to the workers was largely unknown in China, but the 40 mangoes would soon become famous throughout the country, where the Cultural Revolution was causing a lot of trouble and confusion. Now, the revolution had been started by Mao when in 1966 he had allied himself with the country's students. They had been given the green light to purge all reactionary pro-Western capitalist elements from communist China. In response, the students went on a bloody manhunt against university professors, Communist Party leaders, and anyone else not showing an appropriate revolutionary spirit. This frenzy soon derailed the Cultural Revolution, and the students split into different factions of so-called Red Guards who quickly disagreed over who had correctly understood Chairman Mao's ideas. Now, the country's colleagues were ravaged by violent fights, and Mao had to deploy the army to calm the Red Guards down. This intervention brought an end to the fights, except at Tsinghua University, where 2 factions refused to stop the war. Thousands of students had fled the university, leaving behind 400 fanatic Red Guards. Thoroughly fed up with the students, Mao bussed 30,000 factory workers to the university on July 27th. He believed this overwhelming force would neutralize the misguided students. To Mao's great annoyance, the war at the university was still not over when China, a week later on August 4th, received a visit from Pakistan's Foreign Minister Mian Arshad Hussain. Mao welcomed the Pakistani minister and his wife with pomp and circumstance at the Beijing airport. The couple brought a gift for the chairman, and guess what? A box of mangoes in honor of China's Armed Forces Day. However, Mao despised all fruit, and without pondering over how 30,000 people would share 40 mangoes, he gifted them to the factory workers at the university. And Beijing's newspaper gleefully reported the event with the following: "People gathered around the gift and enthusiastically burst into cheers and songs, overwhelmed with happiness. Their eyes filled with tears, and over again they wished that our beloved Chairman Mao would live for tens of thousands of unending years." Now, the paper reported that the workers had called their factories to spread the joyous news and had stayed up all night to celebrate and praise the gift. Despite the rain, some had even gone to Zhongnanhai, Mao's residence in the Forbidden City in the middle of Beijing, many kilometers from the university. There, they wished to express their loyalty to the great leader, Chairman Mao, who slept unknowingly through all the hysteria his small gift had sparked. Thanks to the chairman's thoughtful gift, the workers finally found the strength to stop the students' war, allowing them to return to the factories. The 40 mangoes were distributed among Beijing's largest factories, where the workers discussed at length in serious meetings about what to do with their allocated fruit. Eating it would be sacrilegious, so most decided it should be preserved. One factory had their mango placed in formaldehyde at a hospital, after which all factory workers received a wax copy of the holy fruit. At the Beijing machine tool factory, the mango was put in a glass container and driven slowly through the city to the sound of drum rolls, past long lines of people and out to the airport. The factory had chartered a plane to fly the mango to the metropolis of Shanghai, where a special factory was set up to make plastic copies instead of wax ones. Now, at the Beijing textile factory, Mao's doctor, Dr. Li Shizui, was present when the factory's mango was welcomed at the grand reception filled with many recitations of the great chairman. Here, in hopes of preserving it, the mango was encased in wax and placed on an altar in the factory's auditorium. In orderly lines, workers passed by the shrine, solemnly bowing before it, and those who didn't bow with sufficient reverence were reprimanded. Unfortunately, nobody had considered that the wax encasing could not keep the mango fresh forever, and after a few days, the skin started to rot. The factory's panicked revolutionary committee removed the mango from the wax, carefully peeled it, and cooked the pulp in a large pot of water. Another solemn ceremony was held. Mao was again lavishly quoted and praised for his touching care for his workers, and once more the workers lined up and each got to taste a spoonful of mango water. Since the factory now had no mango, the revolutionary committee ordered a wax replica of the relic. The copy was placed on the altar, and once again the workers could daily bow in reverence to their mango. Dr. Li told Mao the story, and according to the doctor, his reaction was to giggle. The great chairman hadn't expected a mango cult to emerge, but he chose to endorse it. Now, Mao's popularity shot up throughout the country at a record pace. The People's Daily newspaper carried several poems extolling the chairman's gesture, with verses such as, "Again and again to touch the golden mango was so warm." So, the mango had become synonymous with Mao, and the chairman, who during the Cultural Revolution had destroyed the country's temples and sacred statues, had inadvertently instituted a new idol with his mango gift. In Chinese mythology, there was already a tradition for sacred fruits like the peach of immortality, which according to Taoist legends grew on magical peach trees that only bore fruit once every 1,000 years. So the mango was compared to this peach, and there circulated a rumor that it was equally rare. Hence it was called the 1,000-year fruit, or Gongqianye. The rumor also suggested that it granted longevity, and yet the chairman had bestowed them on his workers instead of eating them himself. The fact that Mao detested fruit was unknown, and there was nothing wrong in him having received the mangoes as a gift. Now, in China it is seen as a mark of extra honor to pass on a gift, even though this might be viewed as vulgar in the West. So, wax copies of the mango became a popular gift, often placed in glass container, accompanied by a message wishing the great leader a long life. Now, the enthusiasm for the mango had arisen spontaneously, but the Chinese government was nevertheless quick to capitalize on the worship of the symbol. The adoration was carefully choreographed and exploited during the Chinese National Day on October 1st. During a massive parade at Tiananmen Square in the heart of Beijing, large baskets of enormous papier-mâché mangoes were carried. The fruit was surrounded by sunflowers, the well-known symbol of the masses. Mao's propaganda machine was in full swing at this point. Cheap mango badges were produced, and poorly printed posters of a mango on a flower-patterned porcelain plate were distributed across the country. When the Pakistani government noticed the mango madness in China, it tried to exploit the situation by sending a crate of 100 different mango fruits and saplings to Beijing, but the gift had no significant diplomatic impact. The Pakistani officials soon realized that the frenzy wasn't about the fruit, but a tribute to the love Mao had demonstrated with his gift. Now, naturally, all Chinese people needed to have the opportunity to appreciate the sight of the sacred fruit, so Beijing dispatched propaganda teams that drove mangoes out of the country's western provinces. Despite extreme heat, Chinese families crowded together in cities like Yangmei in the Sichuan province when the traveling mangoes came to visit. Here, the public queued for hours in the building where the mangoes had been set up in glass displays. After 2 days, the mangoes continued their journey to the next city. In the village of Fulin, the inhabitants had been anxiously looking forward to the visit of the holy mango. When the truck arrived, it was laid under a red cloth on a serving tray, which an official solemnly carried around for all the villagers to see. But when the local dentist saw the fruit, he remarked that he didn't think it was that special. It was almost like a sweet potato. The dentist's blasphemy was overheard and he was immediately arrested, put on trial and found guilty of counter-revolutionary views. Afterward, he was driven through the streets on a flatbed truck and executed with a shot to the back of the head on the outskirts of the town. So everyone knew that it was dangerous to joke about Mao's sacred mangoes, and the many mango replicas found in Chinese homes were often placed in the finest spot, the shelf with the family pictures. The mango replicas demonstrated that the inhabitant possessed the correct revolutionary spirit, and owning one was a status symbol. Envy and inferiority tormented those who didn't have one, and many likely felt like second-class Chinese citizens. Eventually, the replicas became cheaper and hence available to everyone. The widespread distribution dampened the hysteria and the mango fever slowly began to subside. After 1970, the country's newspaper no longer carried propaganda images of the fruit, and after the cult had lasted for a good 2 years, the mango completely disappeared from China's communist symbol repertoire. However, most Chinese people did not dare to get rid of their wax mangoes until after Mao's death in 1976. Many burned them like candle during power outages. Meanwhile, Mao's saintly status also faded as it eventually became clear that the chairman had caused the deaths of millions of Chinese during the Cultural Revolution. Soon, it became downright inappropriate to keep his cult symbols. In today's semi-capitalistic China, mangoes play a completely different role. Producing 4.77 million tons per year, the country is now the world's second largest mango producer. So, what video to watch next? If you by any chance are interested in the history of World War II and want to know exactly what made the Nazis' fashion so powerful and why they always were so stylish, you need to watch this video. Now, this might sound weird or even shocking, but bear with us. We will be specifically looking at why they paid so much attention to their looks and how this played a key role in their terrifying rise to power. We think you will find this video interesting. Until next time.